Monet, if you didn't know, and I'm glad you're here. So, let's get some things out of the way first. First of all, I have a new Instagram handle, and I'll put it right here so y'all can go follow my new Instagram. Why I made a new Instagram? Long story. Second of all, yes, it is like 10 o'clock and I'm wearing a princess dress in the middle of the night. This is what happens when you get bored. So today I'm doing kind of a different type of video. This was inspired by Maggie, don't know how to say the rest of her name, I'll put her right here, videos. And I kind of wanted to do a video essay. So I am kind of a romantic. I don't mean it in like a romantic way. Like, I'm not talking like dating. I'm just talking about I love making everything pretty and I love love. You know what I mean? I love watching love movies, reading love stories. I love giving hugs and saying hi and holding hands in the hallway. I do that all with my friends. I love dressing up, or I love going out and just having fun with somebody that you truly love and trust. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a romantic way. With being a lover and me loving everyone that I care about so deeply and intimately, people don't love me as much. I'm a very sensitive person. I cry easily and I get my feelings hurt when I was growing up. When we lived in these apartments, my family used to have like these roast battles. And I remember every time I used to get roasted, I used to start crying. And they would be like, Yana, you need to toughen up, or Yana, you need to have thicker skin or else you can't play with us. And they would be like, we're just trying to prepare you for the real world, blah, 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 blah. And do I understand where they're coming from now? Yes. Did they prepare me for anything? No, because I'm still very sensitive. When they roast me now, I still cry. I just don't do it in front of them. And, you know, when you're growing up and you're told that you're being overly sensitive, or you need to thicken up your skin and you can't cry over everything, it makes you feel like your feelings are invalidated. I get it. I'm a very dramatic person. Obviously, I'm literally wearing a shirt. I get it. I'm a very dramatic person, and I tend to overreact to things. But I don't think when people, like, sometimes when they're calling you over dramatic, it feels like they're belittling your emotions. Like, they're saying, like, girl, your emotions, you do not need to be feeling that deep. And me as a romantic, as a sensitive person, I feel everything very deeply and I take everything to heart. And like I said, it's one of my faults, but I can't change it. It's literally a part of my personality, okay? When you're told all of those things, it kind of feels like you're like ruining the vibe. Like, if everybody's like, you know, having a good time and you over here getting your feelings hurt and getting all of your feelings, everybody's gonna be like, you're ruining the vibe. Like, you're being over dramatic. Like, you're making this more than it has to be. And like, although it is true, it's hurting my feelings even more. Like, I don't know. It just feels like sometimes my feelings, you know, are not cherished, or my feelings are not wanted. So then I tend to close them off. There was a point in time earlier this year where I was literally crying every single day, and I didn't want my parents to find out, because I felt like if I keep ranting to them, if I keep telling them all this stuff, if I keep, you know, crying and all this, complaining about the same old things, they're eventually going to get tired of me. They're going to be like, Monet, get over it. And that's what I was thinking, because I didn't want to be annoying to them by telling them how I felt over and over again. Something as small as being told that you're overdramatic as a kid stayed with me to like the point I am at now. And it's just like a lot. And it's nobody's fault, because I am dramatic. But also, I feel like I'm not allowed to have feelings. I'm speaking like I'm not a kid. I'm literally only 14, guys. Especially like as I got older, and I learned like what my other family members had to go through, and I start understanding what's actually happening with the adults in my life. It starts to make me feel like, girl, you're literally crying that you don't know how to make friends, and that you're lonely, and that you feel like you can't talk to anyone. But these people are over here dealing with much worse stuff and have been through more than you. And like, I think I've learned something that that's not a good mindset, because I've always been like the type of person who feels like they're going through more than you, so why would you want to put your feelings on top of them? Like, even with close friends, I've ended up sabotaging some relationships because I didn't tell what I was feeling. Explain to them about it, that is in the wrong. And if you're like victimizing yourself with them and be like, if they're going through something and you're like, well, I'm going through this and this and this, that is in the wrong. But what I was doing wasn't right either. Like, invalidating your own feelings just because somebody else is going through something different is wrong too. Like, just because this person has it harder doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid. And just because you feel your feelings does not mean you're over dramatic, or does not mean you're oversensitive or ungrateful. That's something I always struggle with. Really, what are you sad about? Like, you have this, this, and this, and this. What are you sad about? Like, that doesn't make sense. And so then I would be mad at myself for being sad, and then it would be like, you know, like a whole cycle. Because I felt like, since there's people who are dealing more than me, I'm not allowed to feel my emotions. And that's dumb. I wouldn't say I'm completely over this, but I'm way better now. Like, I feel great. I'm really happy with the people in my life, and I'm really happy with where I am at right now. But this is just something that I wanted to talk about, just in case any other people related, because I feel like as a romantic and as a sensitive person, we're always told that being sensitive and having sensitivity is a downfall. Being overly sensitive and feeling too much is a bad thing, and I feel like that's dumb. Because so now that we've talked about growing up being a sensitive person, let's talk about how other people affected me being a sensitive person. Did that make sense? I'm sorry if it's loud. I'm in my backyard right now. Throughout my school years, I've struggled with like making friends. And I feel like that started at a young age because, you know, 3rd through 4th grade, everybody's like trying to be cool and whatever. And when your friends start being mean to you, that takes a toll on you. And a lot of people, when I was younger, used to call me a tattletale because, you know, when they would do something bad, I was the one to tell the teacher, and that makes sense. But that also used to hurt my feelings because I used to be like, well, I can be cool too. Like, since this one girl called me a tattletale, everybody stopped telling their secrets to me. And then I was left out because my group of friends, they would all be like telling each other secrets, like sharing secrets with each other, having this like little group of friends, and I was left out because I was a tattletale or I talked too much and all that stuff. 4th grade, there's this girl named Ruby that I befriended. She was a new kid, and this still happens to me till this day. I like befriend somebody new and I introduce them to all my friends, and then they like them more than me, and like that's fine. But when you ignore me, it hurts. You know what I mean? Like when my existence no longer matters to you, or I'm being ignored, that hurts. And so like that actually happened to me this year too. Like every time I befriend someone and I get close with them, and then I introduce them to everybody else, because I'm not a person. I don't want to be your only friend. I want you to have a group of friends, you know? Be a part of the group. But then y'all leave me, and I'm all of a sudden excluded from the group that I've created. I know most people don't, like, when this happens to other people, they just find other friends. But like I said, I care very deeply about the people that I call friends, and I take everything to heart. So it always hurts my feelings. And it's something that started at a young age because first, you know, I was a tattletale. Then people started calling me a crybaby. And so, like, this is something that still goes on. And now with my friends, like, now it's, like, very hard for me to talk to certain people or get close to people fully, because I feel like I'm eventually going to move schools. You're eventually going to leave me and leave me out of something. Or I'm going to introduce you to someone and you're going to leave me and exclude me. Or you're just not going to like me anymore. Or it's just not going to work out. Like, personalities just don't match. Like I said, since I'm sensitive, everything gets to me. And then, like, when people don't want to be your friends, or when people don't want to talk to you, or they start excluding you, it makes me look down on my self-worth. Like, I take it like very personally. I'm like, okay, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't you want to talk with me? Like, am I loud? Because some people have told me that I'm too loud before. People have told me that I'm too annoying before. Maybe it's because I'm not pretty enough. Like, what is wrong with me that you don't want to talk to me? And sometimes it's not that deep. I understand that. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people think I'm irritating, I'm annoying, I talk too much, or, you know, sometimes it is. But most of the time it isn't that deep. And I come to learn that that's something that I need to learn. And like, I'm usually other people are cutting me off, but now that I've learned, like, when you're on the other side, like when you're the one ending the friendship, sometimes it's just because that other person, it's just because it's not working, and you need to cut out toxic energy out of your life. And sometimes with people, like, I guess I'm just like not the energy they want, or I don't get off the same vibes as them and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, that's understandable. Especially when you get rejected by boys, right? I have not confessed to anybody. And like, the feeling of like getting rejected, or people not wanting to be friends with you, or people basically not wanting you for you, does get to somebody's self-worth eventually. Like, after being like cut off so many times, rejected so many times, it starts to get to you. And I think that's why, like, when people don't talk to me, or when people don't speak to me, I automatically think it's a me problem. And I think now I'm starting to realize that sometimes it's really nothing against me. It's really not me. Sometimes, like, you know, you and the other person just don't vibe, or you're just not needed anymore. And sometimes there's literally nothing wrong with me. But when people stop talking to me, my first automatic thought is, what's wrong? Like, what did I do? Like, am I too annoying? Like, 2 years ago, I had this one friend, and she told me she didn't want to be friends with me in the most derailing way. Like, she told me that I was childish, and she told me that I was too loud and I talk too much. And now I don't talk to people because I feel like I talk too much sometimes, and I talk very loudly and I talk very passionately. So sometimes I feel like, you know, people don't like that. Like, being a sensitive person and being an automatic person who naturally loves very deeply, you have to protect yourself. No matter all of those people who cut me off or done me wrong, I will never hate them, because I'm just not that type of person. At the end of the day, I have to protect my peace. I'm the type of person, I feel like everything is beautiful. Main character, like, I'm gonna dress up today. I'm gonna wear heels to school, and I'm gonna throw on a little skirt, put on a little makeup. And some people think that I'm just too much. Like, they're like, why are you wearing a dress to school? I can never do that. Why are you wearing heels? Why are you taking pictures of the sky? They just don't see the world the same way that I do. They don't see the beauty in everything that I do, and I understand that. So I can't get my feelings hurt when they don't understand, because they're not me at the end of the day. I'm sorry if you hear a molar, those things that you cut the grass with. My dad is currently cutting the grass. So to finish off this video, I want to talk about how I cope with my sensitivity and how I've learned to accept it. Now, usually when it comes to like being sensitive, it's like something like, oh my god, you're so sensitive, you're being dramatic, blah, 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 shut up. I've just learned that I'm gonna feel my emotions how I feel them, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna allow myself to feel my emotions, and then I'm gonna let go. Because I don't want to linger on those emotions. I don't want to carry them with me throughout the week, throughout the day. Obviously, sometimes that does happen because I am human and this is a new thing that I'm trying. But I want to feel my emotions, be sad for a second, be angry for a second, like feel my negative emotions for a second, and then I'm like, okay, let's just ruin our whole day. I don't try to shut them out because that always just makes it worse in my opinion. Trying to shut out your emotions always makes it worse. So make sure you feel your emotions, but don't let it affect other people, affect you all the time. Life is basically an emotional roller coaster. Ride the roller coaster, but also have fun. Don't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? And I would say that if I've learned that if people can't accept how sensitive I am to certain subjects, then they're just not for me. I don't really have a lot to talk about on this section because I don't know if I fully like know how to cope with my emotions. I write a lot about them, and then I usually feel like a big feeling of relief, or sometimes I get my get my phone and I talk to it and I say everything I'm thinking, and then I delete it afterwards. Those are all things that make me feel better. Also, just finding one thing to be grateful for a day, or finding, yeah, when I've had a really bad day, I don't say it out loud because it makes me cringe. But when I'm having a really bad day, I do try to think of one thing that I'm grateful for, because like I said, I'm a very over emotional person, and sometimes my emotions, like if I'm having a really bad day, then I start swirling. I'm like, oh my god, I'm having one bad day doesn't equal a bad life. That's something I've tried to learn. Yeah. Bye. I hope you enjoyed. This is not usually the type of videos I make, but I still hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe if y'all want more content where I'm just talking about my feelings and my emotions and my thoughts on the world, I'll make like a separate channel where it's like podcast style, and I'll just talk to the camera. Bye. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get to 70 subscribers, okay guys?